Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Family Matters with the one and only Kevin Petersen, Jay Staple here, and I negotiate the chaos. Try to get Kevin to be speechless, but I've failed in that area. But anyway, Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, man. I've got I don't know if you can see it. I got my Christmas Hawaiian shirt on, and I'm doing really, really well.
This is about the cutoff where I will now accept Christmas stuff. Like when I started seeing Christmas stuff in November, like before Thanksgiving, I think the first week in December. I know a lot of people go by what I do, but the first week in December is early, but I'll allow it.
I totally 100%. With you. I remember seeing Christmas stuff at Halloween and in Costco, and I was like, oh no. Oh no. And even Thanksgiving, it's like, come on. But we got our lights up outside. They're really nice.
See, if I ever do get a house and if I ever get married or have someone that believes in Christmas lights, I still believe that there's got to be lights that you can turn the different colors. I'll just keep lights on all year and just change the colors. Why can't you do that? I'm not going to December. I just gave someone $1 million idea. I'm just telling you. But anyway, there's Kevin Petersen, chronichope.us. He's got all kinds of free resources. You can reach him directly, or you can go through me, and I will private Facebook group. He's got Chronic Hope, and just go to chronichope.us. My favorite thing to do is creep on Instagram, Kevin W. Petersen. Write in comments, try to get him speechless. He's wrote 2 books. He should be working on his 3rd one. All kinds of different things. When you see Kevin Petersen lounging around, the end of the world is coming because this guy's always on the go.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that. Right back at you, by the way. You're pretty much the man about town. So
I know you lounge around.
Never.
We both lounge. We love our lounge time. I will. You know what? I was meant to do this last week, and I get every week. There seems to be questions. It's not really up there, but just I've sent what you've said on marijuana in the past, but just kind of. There's all kinds of, obviously, I think, families, it's not your grandpa's weed anymore. Could you kind of just give your
sure.
Kind of spiel?
Sure. Well, the truth of the matter is that the government buys weed off the streets and tests it. And their tests have shown that pre-2000, most of the weed that people were buying was 3 to 5% THC content. And then from 2000 to 2010, it was 6 to 10%. It's getting engineered a little bit better. And then in 2010, it started at about 25, 30%. And you can buy, it's not the weed itself, but you can buy products that are in the 90%, and that's definitely, that's what we're dealing with. It's not the same stuff. It's Everclear compared to light beer, although I had a fraternity brother tell me one time that he described me as living proof light beer only tastes great. Yeah, that guy's hilarious.
But yeah, it's and also this isn't where you have to go to some back alley and some sketchy guy buying joints. You can have it on your phone brought to you. It could look like an Amazon package on your doorstep, and your kid could just be sitting in his back with a vape or something. They were able to do it. The accessibility is awesome.
It's amazing.
So parents, they have to leave. It's not leaving the house. It's really accessible.
Yeah. Well, and edibles, it's all over the place. My niece, who's in college right now, said, and when she went to her 8th grade graduation party at the amusement park in Denver, half the people on the bus were eating edibles. And I was like, well, that's a victory for the pro marijuana crew, you know?
And then we get a couple of questions this week just about the cell phone, young adults. I mean, I think it's part of it's amazing. I think families, mom and dad may not be aware. Maybe they are getting aware of it, but like what you can do on your cell phone is truly amazing. And so it's not that your son needs to be leaving or doing anything. He could be sitting in his back room, doing who knows what, all because of that mini computer that they have in their hands. So kind of there's a lot of questions around. There's 2 or 3 this week about,
Sure.
your stance and monitoring, or like, when it comes to cell phones and young adults.
Well, as my sister taught me, she had a strict policy with her kids when they were in high school. Those were her phones, not theirs. It was a privilege for them to be using them. And every night before they went to bed, they turned in their phones to her. And that's just how it went. And she would actually run through them because she had 2 pretty attractive girls. And she found some stuff that she was not okay with, some stuff, nothing they had done. They were being approached.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, yeah, this is over. We're not doing this. And you know what? It was really cool. She taught me this as well. She had a couple of rules, and the rules were, when I call you or text you, you answer immediately. And if you don't, I'll just shut it off. That's just no problem. Number 1. Number 2, she also taught me this really neat trick, which I teach all my families. This is a positive thing, not a negative thing. She had a code word or a code phrase that the girls could text her or call her and say, how's Uncle Kevin, which was code for get me the hell out of here right now, or my sister would call them or text them and say, your grandmother's sick, or something. But they could text her, and it was one of those no questions asked. If they texted her and said, how's Uncle Kevin? Boom. She's like, she would call back and say, get your ass outside the house right now. I'm picking you up in 5 minutes. I don't want any argument, and act like the big mean parent so that the kid would be like, oh, my mom's crazy, and she'd be like, what's going on? And they're like, it just got out of hand, and she's like, great, no problem. You're not punished. You're not in trouble. Let's get out of here, Yeah. And so, there's ways to make it work. But, the truth of the matter is, I want to tell you something else on that. Since we're on this topic, I had a really cool experience. I had an opportunity to listen to Dr. Stephanie Carnes from the Meadows, who's one of the world's leading experts on porn and sex addiction. And she said, I want to be super clear with you. If your kid has a phone, they're watching porn. And I don't care if it's a girl. I don't care if it's a boy. They're watching porn. It's being sent to them by other kids. It's fully accessible. It's free. You may think you've blocked it. You haven't, I mean, let's be honest. If you have problems with your technology, I look for the nearest 10-year-old or 12-year-old. I'm like, hey, I need help. And they're like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. It's all done. I don't look for someone my age, and and so she's like, that's the reality. And that's just how it, and that's where it starts. Okay. And we haven't even talked about gaming, and that whole thing. And which it's just, you have to, as a parent, be conscious of the situation and understand the weapon that you put in your kid's hands and the capability of that weapon. And then you have to create a trust relationship with your child and realize they're going to do some stuff you don't like. And you just need to be clear with them. Hey, I'm going to be checking your phone every day. And that's just how it's going to go, and it's not because I hate you. It's because I want to protect you.
Check the apps and check. I mean, it's not just the call logs and the text log. I mean, it's unbelievable. So I don't envy. But yeah, if you're checking the phones, I mean, look at the apps, look at the hidden files, because they'll hide apps, they'll hide downloads. I mean, it's again, and then I think what I learned from Kevin, and I think it's a good reminder to families, is like, don't have like a hit or miss kind of attitude. I mean, like, know that they're going to be up to something. Look for the fire and not just the spark, I guess.
Well, every kid is up to something. You and I mean, even on our best days, we were, up to something. So accept the fact that they're teenagers and they're going to do stuff that's going to piss you off. That's normal. It's okay. I mean, that's normal. But, just make sure that they stay within the rails, So
there you go, putting me into your category. I was an angel, all right. I just got into recovery because I needed new friends, all right. That's my son has struggled with drugs and drinking for several years. He asked why he chooses to do it. He's unable to say. Why does he choose the option that gets him in trouble, Kevin?
Because he's an alcoholic.
I can relate to this. Like, why do I choose? But yeah.
Because he's an alcoholic, and if you're not an alcoholic, so you're never going to understand. So don't just stop. I mean, I tell this, and I'm not just being flippant. This is what I tell every family I work with, every parent I work with, every husband or wife I work with. Stop trying to figure him out. It doesn't matter. You'll never get it. You're not one. I'll never know what it feels like to be pregnant or have a baby. I could spend the rest of my life trying to figure it out. I'm never going to get it. Same thing with if you're not an alcoholic or an addict, you're never going to get it. What you can do is just be super loving, kind, and supportive, and also have super great boundaries. Well, I get it. This is who you are. This is what you do. This is the reality. So the situation is such that, in our home, there's no drinking and there's no drugs. And there's no poor behavior, and you need to be self-supporting, and you need, whether it's school or work, you need to be on target of taking care of yourself, because we will not accept anything less. And those are called boundaries. Like we were just talking about, my sister had boundaries that she held really tight. One of the other things that my brother-in-law, who worked in the tech world for a long, long time, said to his girls, he was just really clear. He said, I just want you to understand, anything you put on social media or in the internet, that's there forever. And he goes, and I mean forever. So you just, that's why we're going to be this way, because you're 14. You don't conceptualize that. You don't know what you're talking about. We do. And so, no, we're not going to, you don't get a vote. You can have an opinion, but you don't get a vote. So when it comes to your son's, why does he keep making the poor choices? Well, the simple answer is because he's an addict or he's an alcoholic, and that's just how it is. That's just how it is. So he needs help. Get him help. If he chooses against the help, then we can start talking about what the next steps are and how to go about it. Because then people are like, well, he won't go. I'm like, well, that's irrelevant. That's not up to him. That's up to you. And it doesn't matter how old he is either. There are ways to handle that and ways to address that and ways to take care of that. So great question, and as usual, I run at the mouth. So,
Well, this email says, made sure to point in all caps. I know that you guys are not doctors, but just want to get your advice. My son has had several serious accidents at his work. His pain is real, but I'm afraid he gets prescribed far too many medications. He's a ghost of his meds. This is an older, mid-40s. This is kind of
sure.
Is there anything this family can suggest to him, or they go on that says, like, there's been times when he's been off his medications and he kind of livens back up and so forth. And again, we don't know the whole situation. We don't know the prescriptions and the psychiatrist, but anything this family can, as far as their older brother being their medications.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, we love you, but, we notice that you're a ghost. I mean, I'm guessing when she says a ghost, he's probably just not there. And that just doesn't work for us. And so, but here's the thing, and here's the really important thing, and is that pointing out a problem without offering a solution is useless, and so what I would say is, hey, we're concerned about your use of drugs and the pain. And let me tell you why this is important to me, because you just described my mom. okay, who died in 2000, Thanksgiving in 2014. And she always said the same thing. Oh, I have a doctor's prescription. This is perfectly okay for me to be on these painkillers and all these medications. And, I threw a tantrum once, and I didn't throw a big enough tantrum, and I didn't go back, and I should have. That's one of my biggest regrets in life, is that I didn't stand up harder and say, this is not okay. This is 100% not okay. And so it's okay for you to step into that and say, you know what? I love you. I'm really concerned about your health, and I don't want you to die. So can we at least go talk to somebody about this? Can we go talk to a therapist? Can we go talk to an addiction therapist? Can we go talk to a pain management specialist? There's a series of people that'll help you with this. And just offer it to him. And if he says, if he gives you a fight or argues, you just say, well, here's the thing. I think you need help. And until you get that help, I'm going to just keep my distance from you, because this isn't working for me. And I'm worried about you, and I'm worried about where this is going to go for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with saying those things.
Sounds to me just at the avenue of just asking questions instead of pointing fingers, and making sure those questions are kind of in the helpful spirit, instead of just coming down and poking the bear, kind of is what I got from that, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with sitting someone down and saying, I love you and I'm worried about you, and I'd like to offer you some help, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And I mean, we don't know the situation. I mean, there could be some, doctor shopping, but it could just be like he may be like, no kidding, I feel the same way, and got, like he just thinks that, there's you can get second opinions. You can, if the doctor, the psychiatrist, you can always get second opinions on medications. So.
Absolutely.
Our daughter is 26 years old and has no interest in getting help, it appears. They've tried several interventions. What is your advice on adopting her kids? The kids are continually going back and forth. There seems to be some court issues. They take the kids, and then, so as far as the kids, I guess, adopting, taking ownership, guardianship,
done it all the time. I worked on this situation dozens and dozens of times. Here's the thing. Those kids are the most important people in this conversation. And if their mom is not sober and is not consistent, then I would petition the court for custodianship. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we call it a kinship adoption. And there's nothing wrong with it. But the most important thing is to give those kids the most stable environment they can possibly have. And it's not with their mom right now. And that's okay. I'll tell you something. The guy that lives in the house right there, you just described his situation. He's raising his grandchildren. The guy, my buddy that lives down that street over there, was raised by his grandmother. It's a lot more common than you think. And the sooner you can step into the situation and say, look, and again, I would go to your daughter and be like, hey, I want to let you know, we're going to do this. And I'm not kidding. I'm not threatening. We're going to do it. But if, now we would also be willing to get you help. But in the meantime, those kids need the most stable environment they can possibly have, because, this is when those kids are going to start the trauma that they're dealing with is going to start impacting them far deeper and deeper and deeper. If you read the ACE study, I think it's called, I always say accumulated childhood experiences. It's for the CDC, Emory University, and Kaiser Permanente in California. And what they studied was the number of times, kids were impacted by trauma events in their life, and big T and little t, and, away they went. And it turns out the bigger the score, the more issues they have as adults. So let's be clear. The sooner you can step in, the better, is my answer to that question. And I know that sounds brutal and horrible and harsh, but there's nothing worse than those kids being put into an environment where they just don't know what's going on and what's happening next.
Stability. I would assume stability. I mean, just kind of sounds to me like, even in the email, there seems to be back and forth. And all I could think of is these kids going back. I mean, like, oh, we're going to go to grandma's again. Oh, we're going to go back to mom's, So they know.
They've known for forever. They're not stupid. They know exactly what's going on. Give them a chance. Give those kids a chance.
Yeah. Well, anything, any burning desires or any tipping points that you're kind of done with the questions that we were firing at you.
Ah,
Anything you failed to mention? Anything on cell phones, marijuana, adoption, stepping in, medications?
I don't want to. I want to leave something for next week. What we got to talk about next week. We got to talk about the holidays. And how to handle situations, how to handle a bad situation. What to do, what not to do, how to set boundaries. And then any questions, of course. But I'm good.
Next week, Dr. Kevin Petersen stepping in with the boundaries, and we may go in the kitchen and bake cookies.
Oh ho ho! Now you're talking. Now you're talking, Big Daddy.
Anyone out there is more than welcome to send me cookies already baked. But
yeah, well,
this is Wednesday. But as always, did not get Kevin speechless. But keep the questions coming, and we're going to do a good job. Sometimes it's there's the same topic, and so we're just going to combine them. But tremendous questions, and keep them coming. I get in awe at the amount of questions that keep coming in every week. So we do have people watching. If you're watching a replay, you can always fill in the comments below. No, it doesn't have to be live. We'll still get it. And if you want to leave your name out of it, then reach out, and we'll send you kind of a video clip of what Kevin says. So we'll do this next week.
Adios, muchacho.
Bye.